What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back to the Country Roads Webcast. As always, I'm Jordan Cruz. If you're tuning in here on YouTube or Twitch, I'm live on both on the Country Roads Webcast pages there. Appreciate you tuning in. But even if you're tuning in on the playback, really appreciate you doing that as well. And while you're in here, if you would hit that like button for us, that'll really help this video's performance and help future videos performances as well. And hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Helps us, helps you, helps get more of this Mountaineer football content out to Mountaineer Nation. Having said that, let's get into it a little bit here with the top graded players for the West Virginia Mountaineers in Game 6 against the Baylor Bears. Let's flip it over to the other side where Mountaineers have had more success this season and take a look at the top 5 highest graded players on offense for West Virginia against the Baylor Bears, beginning with number 5, and that's the Mountaineer quarterback, JT Daniels, of course, coming out with a 72.4 grade in this game. I think for the most part, overall, really, did his job. Throws were on target. The only one thing that you can say was the negative aspect, the one knock on him this game, of course, was the interception. Bad decision. Shouldn't have thrown that ball. Like I said, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think he saw the linebackers back to him, thought he could squeeze it in there. Didn't work out that way. Ill-advised throw at that situation. Situational awareness not so great right there in that time. But that's one thing that has been the lone knock, I guess you could have on JT this year. As much as we trust him throughout the games, is some in late games. Um, the Pitt game, not so much. That one's not his fault. That was a wide open man he hit on target. But Kansas, we saw that happen. And then in this one against Baylor, West Virginia up 3 with a chance to seal it and, forces a bad throw there that gets intercepted. So let's watch that moving forward. Hopefully it doesn't become a trend there in late game situations and his situational awareness improves in those situations when West Virginia really needs him to be clutch. But he would go on to redeem himself. Great game management on the ending drive there for the Mountaineers that led to the game uh, winning field goal from Casey Legg, and JT Daniels has been solid throughout the season. So you can't harp on him at all, and or the Mountaineer offense in general for the most part, really. I think JT's been a great quarterback for the Mountaineers this season, and it's been nice to have a signal caller that you trust back there when the Mountaineers really need the offense to score this season with their defensive struggles. Moving on to the 4th highest graded player for the Mountaineers in this game, and that's one that we definitely, I think, thought would be on here offensively, of course, and that is center Zach Frazier coming out with a 72.7 offensive grade here. And he had the toughest matchup he's probably had up to this point in the season, and maybe the toughest matchup he'll have all season with Siaka Ika, the Baylor defensive, the nose tackle there for Baylor. One of the best players, not only in the conference, but in the country there on the defensive line. And one of the reasons that coming into the game, Baylor was one of the toughest run defenses, not only in the Big 12, but in the nation. And in the Big 12, they were the number one with a 90.7 run defense, according to PFF here. And you see Zach Frazier really hold his own in this game against Ika, and a lot of that in one-on-one situations when he did that. So it was really nice to see, and a big reason the Mountaineers were able to do something, I know I didn't think the Mountaineers would be able to do going into this game, and probably a lot of others didn't as well. And that's run the football not only with some success, but with great success against a tough Baylor run defense to the tune of over 200 yards. And a big credit of that goes to the Mountaineer offensive line. And, of course, Zach Frazier, who's the man in the middle making the calls and anchoring it all. And, of course, to go along with Zach Frazier, he's accompanied by another West Virginia native offensive lineman here in the top 5 highest graded PFF players for the Mountaineers against Baylor. And that is left tackle Wyatt Milam, who comes out with a 74.2 offensive grade in this game against Baylor. As I said, the Mountaineer offensive line has really, I think done a great job for the most part this season. It has been an area that they've improved. We were wondering if it would be. I know Matt Moore's a guy that's taken a lot of flack prior to this season, but I think this season we are seeing now he pretty much has the pieces that, are there and guys that they can develop, and they are developing and they are improving. Guys like Zach Frazier, guys like Wyatt Milam, guys like Doug Nestor are playing the best football of their career right now, and we're seeing the Mountaineer run game have the best success we've seen it have in some time, and that's because of the offensive line. And in pass protection, they've done a much better job too, specifically on the edges, and the credit to that goes to Wyatt Milam protecting JT Daniels' backside, and he did a great job of that in this game and has throughout the season, as has the Mountaineer offensive line in general. He comes out as the 3rd highest graded Mountaineer with a 74.2 offensive grade rather, and the top 2 highest graded Mountaineers on offense in Game 6 against the Baylor Bears, I think, are the two that you would expect them to be, the two guys that had career days. Starting with number 2 right here, running back Tony Mathis Jr. coming out with a 75.0 grade as the highest, second highest offensive player for the Mountaineers. And can't say enough about how much he stepped up. We were questioning if the Mountaineers would be able to run the football, not only because the things I mentioned previously about Baylor's run defense and how strong it is, but we knew C.J. Donaldson was out for this game, and he had kind of been the lead dog in the backfield for the West Virginia Mountaineers. Despite the fact that Tony Mathis had started all season, everyone wanted to see more CJ, and it was like Tony Mathis was an afterthought, even though with the staff he was, and I'm talking throughout the fan base. And this game, he was just kind of showing up like, hi, I'm still here. Remember, I'm the starter, and I'm going to show you why the coaching staff put me in this position against the best run defense in the Big 12. And he certainly did that, and hats off to him there. 20 plus carries, over 160 yards, 2 touchdowns, including a nice one in the fourth quarter where he read it great on a counter play, made a man miss, and then showed speed that I really didn't know he had to outrun people and get to the end zone on a 30 plus yard touchdown run. That really was one of the big difference maker in plays in the game. And he was a difference maker in the game all game, and a big reason the Mountaineers were able to come out on top, as was the top highest graded Mountaineer, and a guy that's really hitting his stride as well when you talk about that going throughout the season, and a guy that has potential that is through the roof, and that is the wide receiver, Caden Prather. And look how high this grade is right now, 89.8. That is super impressive from Caden Prather, the young Mountaineer receiver. We heard, throughout the game, I know I wasn't at this game, so I was watching the television broadcast, and the announcers were talking a lot about how Baylor was giving extra help towards Bryce Ford Wheaton, and he was a big focus of their game plan, was trying not to let him do too much. And I think he ended up with like 5 catches, 51 yards. So decent performance, but you could definitely tell they were focusing on him. But in doing so, they left Caden Prather, one-on-one in a lot of times, situations. And with that extra help on Ford Wheaton, Caden Prather was able to really shine in this game. You saw the Mountaineers go to him in a lot of third down situations, clutch situations. One of those third downs, he not only caught the pass, got the first down, but broke a tackle, beat another man to the end zone, made a play there for his touchdown. And you got to love his performance, over 100 yards receiving and a receiving touchdown. Best performance of his career by far, and definitely the highest grade he's received, and one of the highest offensive grades I've seen a Mountaineer player receive yet this season, with the 89.8 player grade in this one. So that is the top 5 highest graded Mountaineers on offense and defense in week 7 of the season, game 6 of the West Virginia season, specifically against the Baylor Bears, as they come out on top 43-40 and get back on the winning track to move to 3-3 and 1-2 in the Big 12 conference. Having said that, appreciate you guys tuning into this one. As always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.
If you really want to know, then come on, let's go. Take a stroll down those